It's gonna be a little different than some of my other videos. I came across something on the trail today that made me think. Well, I was on my way to the peak. I was doing a training hike. And about halfway there, there's a nice view from the saddle. This is in Franklin Mountains, going up to North Franklin Peak. And there's a saddle there called Mundy's Gap. It's a nice place to sit down, have a snack, enjoy the view and the breeze. And it's a little hot today. Upper 80s, lower 90s. This is a hike with zero shade. You know, it's not bad if you're used to it and you take proper precautions, bring water, cover up. Well, I'm sitting there when two people appear in the distance. They'd just come off a switchback that leads to the peak. So I'm assuming they're coming down from the peak. And this guy that was sitting there next to me says, "Well, there they are." And then he gets up and he starts going down the saddle on the other side. So there's no way he could see them at that point. He's cutting off his view. And I start heading towards those two, because that's the way to the peak. And I see they make a wrong turn, and they're going down the mountain on the wrong side of the mountain. So clearly they're lost. Maybe lost isn't the right word. They made a wrong turn, though. And they didn't realize it for us. So I yelled at them from the top. I said, "Hey, are you with the group?" And they said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, your guy was up here. He's waiting for you. Where are you trying to go? That's Northeast El Paso down there. You got to go to West El Paso. You got to come this way." You know, we're yelling. We're maybe 100 yards apart or so. And they said, "Where? We want to go to West El Paso." And I told them, "Hey, you got to go this way." And so they backtrack up the mountain, and I meet with them, and they didn't look in good shape. Remember what I said about the temperatures and zero shade? Well, I asked them if they needed water, and one of them said, "Yeah." So I gave them water. I realized they were out of water. Or at least, if they weren't out of it, they looked like they were out of it. I shudder to think what would have happened had they gone down the wrong side of that mountain. It can be a maze of trails if you don't know where you're going, and it's several miles to any kind of civilization. And if they were truly out of water, you know, heat injury was probably imminent. So I gave them some extra water. I'm on a conditioning hike for a trip I got coming up. So I was carrying a whole lot of extra, and I gave them some, and I offered them even more, and they didn't want to take it, and they said they were okay. By this time, another hiker shows up, and she's about to turn around and says, "Hey, are you guys okay? I can walk with you." And they said, "No, we're fine." I said, "Okay." So I went my merry way. You know, I said, "Okay, I can still get to the peak, and hopefully they're okay. It's all downhill from here. It's an easy hike." I go about a quarter mile, and I realize maybe they're in worse shape than I thought. Maybe they don't know how bad a shape they're in. You don't know the heat injury, right? It impairs your thinking. And so I turned around and I ran as fast as I could with a 35-pound pack on rocky terrain, which is not a run. It's more like a silly-looking lope, especially with my bad back and knees. But I caught up to them eventually, and they were way better shape. They were in way better shape. First, I was downhill. The water I gave them had some electrolytes in it. I'm sure all that played into it, and they were fine. But I hung out with them until they got back to the trail, close to the trailhead, and I knew they'd be fine, and we split. And so why am I getting preachy? I'm getting preachy because they were part of a group and they split up. And they were lucky that I happened to show up and hear that one person say, "Oh, there they are," and leave, so I knew they were together, and so I realized they were on the wrong trail when I got within earshot. You know, timing had been a little different. They might have kept going down. And so what I'm getting at is, if you're going to hike in a group, you know the group's capabilities. And if you want to separate, you could do that if you guys know what you're doing. I've certainly done it. But if you're in a group with people that are new to hiking, you got to stick together. You got to stick together. So I guess this is just a warning for all you guys out there that are hiking, especially here in the desert when it's hot. The heat can get to you, and it's quick. I've certainly seen a heat-related injury before, and it's fast, and it can be surprising. So just be aware. If you're new and you're doing a group, stick together. Don't leave anyone behind. You don't want somebody that you're guiding getting lost and getting hurt or worse. I guess I'll just finish this video with, everyone hike safe. You know, hike your own hike. Learn about the 10 essentials if you're new. Hike with them, tailor them to your needs. And remember, if you need to turn around, it's okay. It's better to hike another day than to get hurt out there. So, enjoy yourselves on trail.